The S&P 500 and the stock market they're crashing on the day. You're getting a bit of a slap. Now, I want to highlight that you're only down 1% overall on the day. But the real question is now, is this going to be a deeper dip? Where do things get really bad? Because we talked yesterday about where you actually get very bearish from the market, and you're approaching that point as we speak. So we need to dive deep into exactly why we're dropping, what's going on, and what to expect going into the end of this week and preparing for next week as well. Now, again, I want to just paint you a really quick picture. This was last night, okay? This is how we were, actually, no, this is this morning, right? This is like 6 a.m. going towards like market open. You had a really nice clean setup. I mentioned this on Twitter. I recommend following so you get all the updates, everything like that for our charts. Also mentioned Oklo this morning on there as well. But again, we're talking about the inverse head and shoulder and what was playing out. And so, just showing you the setup last night, you were getting clean action. Buyers were holding where you needed to hold. This was, pretty much ideal, right? Making higher lows, ideal, right? So how does the market progress? You push the play button. And as you can see here, market's playing out. Oh, there's all the sellers. Jesus Christ, you just dumped straight down. That is what's going on right now. Now, it's important to understand where we're at and what's moving. Now, fundamentally, there was nothing crazy that was announced. There was nothing wild out there. We'll go into some of the news articles that are kind of coming out and some of the interesting things overnight into today that we saw. But this is what's happening. You simply are breaking supports and just moving straight down through areas of illiquidity. Now, I also want to highlight something. Again, I'm not trying to sell you on this. If you want to see what we're trading, etc., do what you got to do. But I made a post on Twitter explaining exactly this. I want to make this extremely clear, okay? You have to make a trade plan every single day. And you know what? I get it, guys. I have clickbaity thumbnails. I 100% get it. This is YouTube. This is the stock market. I'm literally talking about numbers, boring companies, and charts. It's not very, it's not super fun to talk about, right? I gotta have a little bit of clickbait. I'm sorry, but I try to be as honest as possible in every single video. And I don't think you can ever say I've misled anybody inside of a video by lying, telling you to buy something. I've never done that, right? Use me as an indicator, do your own research as always. People like to point the finger and blame someone else except themselves. That's typically how the world works. But anyways, every morning you need to be making a trade plan. And I think this is one of the best examples of exactly that. Because again, people are always like, well, Tyler, this, and this. Well, I'll just tell you if I made money, how I traded on the day. So again, 7:48 before market even opened. And I usually don't trade pre-market or after hours too often, okay? So solid overnight session, yada, yada, yada. But what are we looking for? NASDAQ over 25,765. We're looking for 25,87, 2602, then 26,200 plus. Under 2675, we're looking for 2565, 25.4. We're looking for the downside under these levels. So where are we at? As you zoom in, you can see when I posted this, that's where you were before, pre-market, where you were getting settled. Well, you started trading up, you rejected back down. The second you got below this, look what happens. Immediate selling, you break again, 25.65, our first level, you break, you retest, and look at this shot down to 25.4. And this is the only thing I didn't account for was more of a drop, which you're doing right now. And this is where things get really ugly, is because you're pushing now towards your 50-day moving average. And that's going to be the real question mark as we move into the rest of this day and the rest of the week. So again, I want to highlight, I have going into the market, everyone's going to have a bias. And looking at this chart, my bias was okay, we wait for the breakout about 25.87, clean shot to the upside, right? Beautiful. That's what you want to see. But I have to be aware, I have to set up what am I looking for in case that doesn't happen. What if we get a reversal? Things along those lines. And that's the important of this, right? So if you want to see what we're trading, how we're trading, the link is down below. Do what you got to do. Again, what did we trade here on the day? We traded Meta on the downside. Beautiful. We traded Amazon on the downside. Beautiful. Again, all you can see there. We didn't trade anything to the upside today. I want to be very clear about that. Exactly. All my trades are posted in there. If someone sees me lying here from Discord, please call me out down below. As always, call me out. Profits are there as well. All that's in there. So again, do what you got to do. Now, looking at this, the real question now comes into, well, Tyler, what are we going to do now? Where did we're below some big levels now. This is not ideal. Is this an overreaction? What's going on? Now, fundamentally, again, like I said, I don't think there's anything really out there that's net bearish that was really said. The only thing that is concerning out there is that you saw this. So OpenAI CEO yesterday, I should have mentioned this in yesterday's video. So OpenAI's CEO came out and said, look, we need, the government needs to set up a bailout package just in case AI is a bubble and so is semiconductors. You need to be able to bail us out. What are you talking? That's the craziest shit you've ever heard. Trump came out today. Again, if you're in Discord, go down the news, you can actually see, just type in Trump and you actually scroll down to the bottom. But basically Trump said, yeah, there's not going to be any bailout ever. And he's actually making comment on those GLP drugs as well. So anyways, worth mentioning. So he's like, there's not going to be any bailout for AI or semis. Like, what are you talking about? That's never going to happen. So don't even put that on the street, right? So worth mentioning. And again, maybe that's a reason for a little bit of the downside, but worth mentioning there. Now, where things get really bad, I want to be very, very clear. So people can't say, well, Tyler, you lied to me. You didn't tell me. Let me explain where things get bad. And you're at that point now on SPY. And I'd be watching SPY and Qs more in the short term. I think futures give you a better look, and they're both really close. The 50-day moving average. If you start flipping the 50-day moving average, you are breaking the structure in the short term. You need to understand that, right? Now, basically, I mean, basically over the whole year, right? So you get above the 200 SMA, and you basically been bouncing near the 200 SMA over and over. It's been your support. If you look at futures, again, that's why I say it's more important. It's been clear, like you've touched it multiple times, and you're probably going to touch before the end of the day the 50-day moving average here. If you actually hold below and flip and stay below the 50-day moving average, this is going to be ugly. I want to make that as abundantly clear as possible. That is where I start flipping, not necessarily looking for like, okay, the market crash is here, we're going to dump this and that, but you have to change your viewpoint of being so bullish, right? Because again, technically you would still be making a higher low, even if you're right here. I mean, where you really get like pretty concerned is breaking below these lows here of like your lows from basically October 10th. That's when you make a lower low. But again, worth mentioning, you get below this, the trend is definitely flipping. You have to have your guard up and be a lot more defensive. The same thing for NASDAQ, as you can see here. Again, this has been your tried and true support for the last like 6-7 months. So again, very important that we're watching this. Very important that you're looking at this right now. Okay, super, super, super important. Now, going more into equities, trades, things along those lines. Again, what's been our? I got to play both sides here, right? Just like I did yesterday. What's been carrying us? Semiconductors, XLK. Again, semiconductors haven't really broken down yet. We'll go into some of the other names, but it's worth mentioning you're still holding your previous highs. This isn't a concern yet for me. You haven't broken down. This is why I don't think semis are the giant problem. I think the AI part could be more of the bubble, some of these other stocks. Semis are going to keep printing money, okay? Very important to understand that. XLK, tech, again, getting below that level right now. So you can see semis having more relative strength than overall tech. Very important to understand that. But again, you're still aiming down towards that 50-day moving average there as well. Looking at VIX as well, getting a little bit of a surge. It really hasn't popped yet. You're only at 20 bucks. I mean, this could easily go much higher. If you stay above 20, definitely a sign, something to be concerned about. But where you're at as of right now, worth mentioning, okay? The big downside of the day so far has been NVIDIA. And again, NVIDIA, I saw a pretty, I would say like a flash crash yesterday near the end of market close, which was right here from 200 down to our key level 195. Well, this morning you opened back up, you rejected, you're pushing back down. You're looking to fill that gap right here, like 187, but then ultimately looking back for 184, which was what? It was your previous all-time high, 184, 184.5. So that's what your next big target there as well. So again, you're getting massive, like a mass exodus of most of these stocks coming back and testing big levels. Some of the other names like Palantir breaking back down, which again, in my video last night, long term, I don't think they're like in trouble right now until growth slows down dramatically or slows down at all for their revenue. I think they're fine. But like I said in the video, go rewatch the tape. Again, I totally get, like, if you just look at a thumbnail, then you create like an opinion and like an idea of what something is, but you don't have any context or substance of what I'm talking about. But like I said in last night's video, below 189.5, you are looking for downside. Below 185, this is a clear shot down to the 200 or the 50-day moving average and the 176 level, which is where you're at right now. Okay, very important. So again, it's the same thing on SPY, the same thing on NASDAQ. If these start to flip, again, I start getting pretty aggressive for the downside, and you're going to start seeing illiquid areas get exposed quickly. So again, what we're really watching here on the market as a whole for continuation for downside, 50-day moving average. That's very critical right now. It's your largest line of support. It's been tried and true. If that breaks, things are definitely shifting. Very important to mention. Also want to go into yields, what's happening there. You're still seeing yields kind of stick up here. They kind of broke out, kind of coming back down. We'll see what happens there at 30-year, 10-year. You can see where they're at right now. So again, worth mentioning. Also, Bitcoin. People kept saying, should I be buying Bitcoin? Things along those lines. Again, I'll make another video on BMNR later this week, but it's worth mentioning as well with these names is, again, you're getting below your significant levels. And this is what I was saying. Like I'm not really a big buyer of crypto here right now. Again, I do like it, but I'm not going short term. This idea of like, we're going to go crazy. You're about to get a death cross. You're below your 200-day moving average. You're below 108,000, 109,000. That's not ideal. IWM, you're breaking that back down below that breakout. You're not confirming it. You're not holding above it. Not a good look. This, again, below your 50-day moving average. You know, this could start getting some real pain. I'd be targeting back into these little previous highs back here, almost into 230, and then into your 200 SMA as well. So there are some big signs rolling over now. And again, people are gonna be like, well, Tyler, you were so bullish. And again, I'm not holding trades overnight. Like I've been saying, take your money, run for the hills over and over. Like when you're trending like this, there's no reason to get crazy. There's no reason to go full sin leveraging. But it's very important to understand, if you start flipping a bias too soon, you start being the first person in a trade, you're going to start losing money. I want to paint a really quick picture too with the Michael Burry thing, right? So everyone's like freaking out about Michael Burry going short about Palantir and NVIDIA. But you know, people don't really know I wish people could really see his position live to understand how much he's either up or down. But you have to understand, like, this is a great example. And I don't think people could do what Michael Burry is doing, for example. They would lose their minds. If you look at his position, that's a 13F. So that was filed from this previous quarter. So he probably, like, there's no probable about it. He 100% got into that short position somewhere in this range. So he's probably about break even, probably down a little bit. So he probably got in around here. I would assume like 180 to 170 is where he got into that short position. Maybe even before that. It's totally possible he got in like down here at 150. That's totally possible. Okay. NVIDIA, same thing. He got into his position between 170 and 180 conservatively. It's a 13F that was filed for this past quarter. So it's not like he filed it like he got in the trade and said, okay, guys, get that to the SEC right now. We need to let Twitter know that I am in. I am in. Like, that's not how like this works. There's a system in play. So it's important to understand that like he rode some downside here. And like this is like what's happening in like a play that he's seeing out. So when people start going in of like understanding being the first person into a trade, start, you know, predetermining your setups and getting more emotional and, you know, just okay riding a trade for maybe getting a lot of drawdown. Like understand, Burry experienced some drawdown. Some serious drawdown to 210. Okay. If you're okay doing that, then okay, get aggressive, like go crazy all you want. But understand, here on the channel, I'm trying to make calculated decisions on the short term, long term, medium term as well, and then map out how to actively day trade through this as well. So again, that's why I'm able to have the track record I do. That's why I'm able, when you go look at comments, you don't see people saying Tyler scammed me, Tyler lied about Discord, Tyler did this, Tyler did that. You're not going to see any of those false claims. You might see people that like join Discord and you're like, I want to get rich quick, and Tyler, you didn't post 20 trades today. Well, do what you got to do, King. That's not, do not ever pay for my Discord, any of my content if you're trying to get rich quick. I promise you will not. You will get poor quicker if that's your goal and that's your mentality. So again, worth mentioning. Now let's go into equity stocks. We're looking at setups and plays right now. NVIDIA looking for the touch back into 184 in the 50 SMA near 184. Big touch test there. Palantir getting below 176, your 50-day moving average. This is bad. Honestly, next spot's down at 170, 169, what you're targeting down there. AMD, I actually, again, like I said, I loved AMD's earnings, but it's, again, the whole market's dipping. Nasdaq's down 500 points. AMD is probably going to dip. So again, AMD down right now. I'd be looking for this first level right here. Got the gap fill into like 235, which is where you're already kind of coming into. But I'm looking for the big test down here near 227. That is going to be your big level. And I actually will say, if AMD starts dipping dramatically, it's going to be a really big buy because their earnings were phenomenal. $9 billion in revenue. That's exactly what you wanted to see. Again, I like it a lot. So again, I want to see more of a dip here, but again, targeting, if I'm taking any short trades, targeting down to 227, what we're looking at there. Worth mentioning, Apple is literally just chilling at all-time highs, basically. I mean, it's all-time highs are like 277, but you're just sitting up here and like no selling is even impacting you. Worth mentioning. Oracle got the gap fill like we've been talking about into 243, finally got it. So again, I want to see buyers start getting more aggressive if I want to start buying. I'm not just going to be buying a dip. I'm not just going to be buying at bottoms, trying to time the bottom. I want to see buyers get aggressive before I start, you know, jumping into the buy side. Worth mentioning, definitely there. Amazon finally got your retest today. I actually need to post this in Discord. Again, this was one of our trades of the day. Probably the trade of the day. Definitely better better than Meta. Like I mentioned back here, going into technicals, we've been waiting for this setup for a while now. Finally got it. So again, right here, 8:43 a.m. watching Amazon here rejecting 250.4, lose VWAP. We're looking for lows of 248, 246.5, then 245, and then you came all the way down to our bottom level here, as you can see in the bottom little corner, 242.6 right now. You get below that on 242.5, 242.6. That's your previous all-time high, as you can see right there. You get below that, you are very illiquid back down to 233, 234. I'd be very careful if you lose this, okay? Mark out your previous highs here as well, 238, low levels here too as well, but there's a giant gap fill, and I'd be very, very careful on Amazon. If you hold it, you look really good. As long as you're above 243, I do think it'll be a buying opportunity. If you get below that, definitely a concern. So if we start seeing more aggressive sellers, yeah, be very, very careful. Netflix really doing nothing here, just rejecting still at 1103, not even pushing the 200 SMA. Interesting that Netflix is remaining relatively strong despite the weakness in the market. So definitely watching this. You ever break back below 1087, look for 1065, what you're looking at there. Tesla trading the same levels. Tesla has literally traded the same levels for God knows how long now. Again, as you can see, getting back into 439. Below 439, you have room down to 427, 425. Be looking at that. It's been really strong, so I'm not really looking to go short in Tesla. It's been one of the stronger overall names. You're trying to hold 439 here, so we'll see, but I'd be pretty careful if I was you. Just gonna tell you that right now. Moving a step further, Meta continues to see some weakness. Again, we got that BRB off the previous lows here, as you can see there. Break retest continuation. I targeted 621, 617 down to 611. You came down to 618, 619 right there, kind of bouncing back up. So it didn't make it all the way down. Still a solid trade as well. Microsoft losing your big support right now for like 98, 497. As you guys can see, if Microsoft starts to lose 492, this could get absolutely disgusting. I'm going to tell you that right now. So you have a little bit of there to there. This is going to be just all a little bit of support, like 492, 489. You really have no liquidity once you lose this all the way back down into previous all-time highs. You never even got a retest. Probably target 480, then down to 468, 470. What I'd be looking at there as well. Surprisingly too, actually, before we go into that, your crypto names. This is why I said like cryptos, these names are at support. It's just so concerning because you're not finding any buyers on Bitcoin and crypto in general. And look at MicroStrategy still going down, Coinbase still going down, and back down to our major level we had marked out here, 292, 290. Next level is your 200 SMA. I think that's going to be a magnet. I'd be looking at 282, 283 in a hurry. 200 SMA, you're just so close. You have to expect a touch at this point. What you're looking at there as well. AVGO getting back below 356, looking at 344. Again, as you can see, a lot of these names are mainly sizing up for the downside. If you start getting some bounce, again, it's using most of the same levels to reclaim back to the upside. But as of right now, most of the opportunity seems like the downside setup. And it's funny, even though I've been so net bullish on the market, when I just look at overall setups as far as liquidity, getting continuation, getting quick moves in either direction, most of my good setups have been towards the downside because you've moved up so illiquid, meaning if you move up fast, you can move down just as fast, like we always talk about. So it's really important to understand that, like showing you a zone of illiquidity on AVGO would be basically 330 all the way down to 317, 304. You have no liquidity here. You have some wicks, but really nothing down there. So again, worth mentioning why I'm watching it, why I'm looking at it. Again, some of the cheaper names that I've been buying, HIMS, you are at your next buy zone, you're $40. It's just getting slapped right now. I still like HIMS, still think it's a great stock. Revenue's really good. Oscar reported earnings yesterday, and in my opinion, Oscar, I kind of think it's, I think it's going to dip back down to $13, $14. I'm just waiting to buy it again, to be totally honest. I mean, you have your 200 SMA at like 16, but I'm looking to buy it. I think they're pulling in like they're pulling in like $10 billion a year. Their market cap is literally like so low. Like, let's go look real quick at Oscar so you guys can see. This is totally off subject of the video, but this was crazy. I looked at this. Yeah, so their market cap is $4.58 billion. Their revenue they're bringing in yearly is around $10 billion. That doesn't make any sense. One of the easier names. You come back down to $13, $14. I'll be loading back up. Once again, running the same trade back. But again, what I'm looking at there as well. Tempest AI finally dipping down. We've been waiting for the 200 SMA. Can we get it? Let's see if we can. SoFi, this is probably one of the better dip buys coming into the 50 MA. Again, as the market's dipping, I expect most names to dip. But again, these are the times that you have specific names that you love. This is where you get aggressive on those. This is my personal opinion. If I'm looking to buy stocks, buy names, or anything like that, and you start getting a dip, people are like, where do you buy? First of all, I kind of categorize in my head which stocks do I like the most. Okay, so Nvidia is my number one stock that I talk about all the time, right? That is like the name that, like, okay, we're getting a dip. What do I want to buy? That's the first name that I think about buying, obviously. Then I start moving on to more risky names and things along those lines as well. I'm not over leveraging, not getting crazy. I'm buying with the mentality that I'm going to keep buying more, that the stock's going to keep dipping. That's how your brain has to work. So you're not shocked or surprised if you get some continuation on the downside. Again, you want to be surprised on the upside. I'd rather be happy surprised than mad surprised. So again, how I'm viewing this. If you have any questions, comment down below. See you in the next video. Have a good one, traders.